death experience. Cast out of yourself, leaving your physical body, passing through unimaginable sounds, light, waves of feeling, overpowering visions of things you never conceived of before, faces of the dead. Are you alive? And if you are, where are you going? How could anyone's life not be changed?
Dr. Moody has observed a pattern that occurs in people the world over, regardless of their culture or religion.
As a matter of fact, the prior religious beliefs or background of the person doesn't seem to have much to do with whether or not they have an experience and even the content of the experience. Mm-hmm. We've even had people who say that prior to their experience they were atheists or agnostics who have very beautiful and full-blown near-death experiences.
Really? And do they remain atheist and agnostic?
Not at all. Once they come back, they tell us that they're totally transformed and they have no more doubt whatsoever that there is a God and that there is a life after death.
What happened is I felt like I'd been hit by a train. But what had happened was I was talking on the phone, holding the telephone like this. The lightning came down the phone line, entered my neck. It went through my spine, threw me up in the air. As it threw me in the air, it knocked me out of my shoes and welded the nails in the heels of my shoes to the nails in the floor, which is how I was grounded and I didn't explode.
I had not responded to treatment. I was getting worse, and the doctor had come to see, and at this point, he says, I've lost her. She's gone. And I thought, well, who's he talking about? But just before this, I have been in terrible pain. I was just hurting so bad, I wanted to get away from it.
I was a dissident in Soviet Union, and I had an invitation from United States. In 1975, I received this invitation. In 1976, I was given the exit visa, and I was leaving for New York that day, and I was coming to take my passport, and I was ready to fly. My family was already in airport waiting for me. That time, on sidewalk, I was moved over or run over by car. It was fabricated by KGB. They wanted to kill me and not to let me go. And I was taken to hospital. Doctors did anything they could to help me, but I was declared dead.
Pretty much all over the world we found this common pattern. They tell us that at this point where their doctor says they are dead, that they may actually hear the physician say, oh my, he's dead, or we've lost her, or something like that. And they say that from their perspective, actually, they still feel very much alive. Indeed, their consciousness is heightened. And they tell us that they seem to leave their physical bodies. They say that they float up, typically right above the bed in the operating room or the emergency room, and they look down and they can see their own physical bodies lying on the bed down below.
But then all of a sudden I heard this statement, he's gone, he's gone. And it was the paramedic making that statement to the driver. At that point, I was standing behind the paramedic. I was watching him work on my body.
And there was this slight buzzing at the ear, and I felt myself pop out of the body. I don't know how I came out. I was just suddenly out of the body. And I sat down on the head of the bed a minute to look around. Then I felt myself float up to the ceiling, and I was looking down, and he said, she's gone. And I couldn't believe it, and I thought, well, who's gone? And I was trying to look down to see. And I felt presences with me. Guardian angels is what they were, but I called them guides.
they describe to us how they seem to be drawn into an enclosure of some sort. They often call it a tunnel. And they go through this tunnel quite rapidly, and they come out on the other side into an incredibly brilliant and warm and loving light.
Don't know exactly how I entered the tunnel or just at what point, but it was when the guides had asked me, and I said yes, and I feel myself going in an upward motion. The tunnel is not too big, just seemed for one person to go one at a time. It doesn't touch you, or I didn't reach out and touch the walls, but it's bright, and I feel myself going up and looking at light, bright light at the end of the tunnel.
The next thing I remember is I heard a set of chimes, and as I looked at an angle, probably 35 or 40 degrees, I could see a tunnel. The tunnel was like a spiral, like it was moving whether I was moving or not. Then I began to whisk down it, and I could hear these chimes, but I was in utter peace and utter tranquility. And it was such a stark, dramatic difference between the way that body was and what was happening to that body and this place I was, this utter peace. As I moved closer to the light, I was kept being surrounded and filled with this love of like, I can't describe it except when you haven't seen your parents in a long time. If you've been away from your family, and when you first see your mom and your dad, that feeling when you're a small kid, that feeling that you get. I knew I was safe, I knew everything was peaceful, and I knew it was right. As I came into the tunnel, came through the tunnel, I came into a place much like walking out of a dark room into a bright room, as if my eyes were trying to adjust to this brilliant light. The contrast between the brilliant light of the lightning bolt and the brilliant light that was in the tunnel was another thing that was quite dramatic. Because this light was so brilliant and so bright, it passed through me, it permeated me, it and I became one.
In this light, they often tell us that they see relatives or friends of theirs who have already died, who seem to be there to meet them and to greet them and to help them through this transition.
Particularly very great thing happened with me. It was that I saw my parents, my real parents, and I understood that they were killed. And they were killed by KGB in Moscow, and I was happy of this. It sounds very ridiculous, but you know, I was happy because I was thought that I was abandoned by them.
And I'd lost a girlfriend in the polio epidemic in the 30s. I think it was 38, but I'm not positive of that date. And she assured me that everything was fine and she was happy. And I also saw my grandparents coming to meet me. I had never known my grandfathers. They had both passed away before I was born. But I did know my grandmothers and my mother also. And as I'm there, this baby appears to me. And he says, "Hi, I'm your brother." And I said, "I don't have a brother." And we don't talk as I'm talking to you. There was no way of misunderstanding. It was more like it was mental telepathy. And he shows himself to me as a small infant, dressed in a cap and a little long dress with a knitted sack over it, booties and socks, and tells me to look me over now and remember how I look this way. And you can tell our Father when you get back, and he'll tell you it happened. And when I was able to talk to him, my dad said, "Well, I don't know how you knew that, because nobody but your mother and the doctor and I knew about these things."